time for us to get this garden show on the road. And let's go to the correct tab. I have to unclick you. And we're live!
Woo!
Okay, let's hope I don't get disconnected again, because that would kinda suck.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a problem, but let's see how far we can get.
Yeah, but hello and welcome everyone to welcome to Waifu, the talk show where we're gonna talk about monster girls of all kinds of varieties, shapes, sizes, and whatnot. The guy on the right, that is Camper Blaze, that is me, and the dude on the left of me, that is Blackout.
Heyo!
I'm a level with you. We're just a bunch of idiots with dumb arguments and even dumber headcanons. So, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Well, please be sure to catch our last episode where we talked about our phenomenal feathery friends, the Harpy Girls. And on this week's episode, we're actually doing kind of a wide variety, talking about our plant folk of the monster worlds, ranging from all kinds of dryads, alranes, treants, all kinds. Scamper, what you waifu?
Okay, so with Lamias, I was on the fence. But for plant girls, I'm gonna say no for 3 reasons.
Okay, but before that, just hear me out, man. Hear me out.
Okay.
Yeah, plant girls come in all varieties of shapes and sizes, just to fit any kind of need you need.
I am not.
But what are your reasons?
Okay. You know what? 4 reasons. Reason 1, the tree variants probably provide splinters. 2, I am allergic to pollen. 3, I have the feeling that out of all the monster girls we're going to be talking about, these are going to be very high maintenance. And reason 4, I'm not going to try and even attempt to taste some cactusy.
Just come over here real quick so I can slap you real quick.
No!
Drag yourself over here.
No, this is not the hill section and you have not won me over.
Okay, I'll save that for the hill when I drag you over.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, our format's gonna be a little different this time around since we're doing kind of a general population of them instead of just a singular species of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's probably best to discuss with our audience our like basic standards for our plant folk monster girls, shall we?
Go right ahead. Oh wait.
There's some minor factors, but I believe the most important thing is their level of sentience and movement capabilities.
Yeah. So, if it is able to move on its own accord and not just by instinct or response to outside worlds, I'm willing to consider it a monster girl. But I will not count Flowey from Undertale as a monster girl. That is too much flour, too little girl.
Do the plant folk even have genders?
Depends on... that depends on how we're gonna view them biologically, but I am gonna go with yes.
Because a bunch of plants have pistils and stamens, so would it not be correct to consider they have both genders?
For some species, yes.
Yeah. Alright, I guess we can do some, like, very basic of basic biology, since, again, generalizing our girls today.
Oh yeah, since, do you want to focus on a specific group right now, or do you want to just go from a high school biology level?
I think we just generalize, man.
All
It's the
right.
best we can do. So I'm thinking not a lot of organs actually.
Okay.
They're more in the they're more in uh it's like they don't how should I say this? They don't need as many organs as a normal human body would need technically.
Mm-hmm.
Or they have other specialized organs that can do multiple capabilities in one. Is
Uh-huh.
what I'm thinking. I'm not sure. Which line do you think would be more fitting for our girls?
Okay, so you
Mhm.
are giving me the option of not having a lot of organs to having a bunch of specified organs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the second. After all, we do argue they do have a lot more mobility and the possibility to think for themselves,
Mhm. Mhm.
meaning they do have the organs required. And that also includes stuff like joints and something that can function as muscle tissue.
Yeah. Well, we could. I'm going to say that they don't necessarily have lungs. Technically, that's
Okay.
that's kind of the one things I'm kind of on right now. I don't think our plant girls technically even need lungs.
And
Plants still need to breathe, so why should our plant girls need them?
okay, you are already wrong on that. Yes, it
Eh,
is true that plants do produce oxygen when the sun is shining, but when the sun doesn't shine or when they don't have the replacement of the sun because greenhouses are a thing,
mhm.
they actually take in the oxygen and convert it back to CO2. So plants actually do breathe.
You said breathe, not breathe. Anyway,
I know what I said.
that's another thing to talk about later. Mm, but do our plant girls need have like blood in them, or is it like
Well, technically, they do have their own vein structure, but it's a lot.
it's like chloroplast, isn't it? You would say.
Yeah, it's a lot more simpler than what
Hmm.
what animalistic cells have. They have a they have one that just pulls the water up from the roots,
Hmm.
and then the cytoplast goes back down from from the production to back to the roots. So they do have veins, but I
I
don't
don't think they
think
would
they
have a.
would have the
Would they have
same function
a
as a heart.
human body? Yeah.
Considering depending, wait, it does depend if they. We have to establish a lot of things before I can go into in depth with
Yeah.
it. But I
And we haven't even got specific yet either.
this is gonna be fun.
Yeah. So, so what are your thoughts about like a working blood circulation system in their body? Well, it's not blood, but like well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Uh, okay, so they definitely need it because
Hmm.
they do need to move nutrients from one space to another. They need
Hmm.
to move their liquids because you better hydrate before you dehydrate, and that's definitely gonna be applicable to here.
Ah, for sure, for sure.
Okay, I do have one thing I wanna just establish in general.
Hmm.
With plant girls, do you prefer they give a more of a what's the word? Uh, damn it, I forgot the word for it.
Is it like
Priority.
smell?
Priority. My
Oh.
bad. Okay,
Okay.
sorry. Do you think they would give priority by drinking through roots, like potentially through their feet, hands, or wherever we're gonna place them? Or do you think they would consume through their mouth and have a digestive tract like we have?
Um, I don't think they have a digestive tract. Maybe I'm kind of on that as well. I think they have like roots and like a main body portion. They have like quote unquote separate body slash main body thing going on. Again, generalizing here, but I think it's all in a root system, man.
Okay.
I think these are going to be one of our own monster girls that don't actually need to eat. They can get their energy from converting sunlight and such.
Okay. Okay. I was gonna kinda just straight up argue it, but then I remember trees do the same thing and they are just basically bigger plants. But
They are plants.
I know.
Yeah, but what was I just gonna say?
But
No, but
okay, considering they
they-
do have more motor functions, I do think that they would need an extra source for like nitrogen and other proteins. So I do think that they would actually be closer to specifically the Venus flytrap or like morning dew, basically the carnivorous plants. Who don't
yeah, I get what you mean there. They definitely need a source of probably more energy than just pure sunlight itself, sunlight and water, like a normal house flower.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think they need to like generally eat necessarily.
Okay. So one thing that I'm just gonna say that I actually think they do need at least a secondary income of nutrients. So I think they would need to eat because if we're giving them the ability to actually rationalize stuff, they do need more than just the nutrients they could absorb through the ground.
I mean, just for scenario in a magical world, we could definitely supply that what they need with magic instead.
Yes.
We really need it too, so they wouldn't really need to eat. They can just get all their nutrients from the surrounding earth or such.
That is true, but remember, normally we only start speaking about applying magic later on. First, we always look at our
Yeah.
own world.
Yeah, and usually we're only doing one monster at a time here, man. We gotta generalize a whole population,
Yeah,
so we gotta break some of our rules right now.
that is true. That is true.
But yeah. Are you like on team stuck in one spot or team I'm able to move all around wherever myself?
I actually have a.
Or actually, third option, I have a main body somewhere else, and what you're seeing now is like a separate body to bring nutrients back, kind of thing.
Ooh, like a hive mind kind of thing.
Not like a hive mind. It's like one like separate detachment limb that they can detach off. It's like a sub body from their main body.
Okay, so I kinda had a hill that would kinda address this, but I do like that last option that you mentioned, where it's basically just a. It is able to separate, but it has a main body.
Mhm.
I do. Okay, yeah, I like that one.
We on that headcanon now. Main body, separate body.
I'm okay with that.
So yeah. I'm not sure if this main body is going to be like just a flower that's just in the middle of the woods, or it's like a bulb underground or something. I have no idea. It's probably going to be species depending here for that part.
Yeah.
But how about lifespans of this separated quote unquote limb of a body that they're using?
Okay.
Is it like going to be a long lasting one, or is it like here's a mission, go do this, once you're done, come back, and we're done?
Okay. I am actually gonna. If the thing that walks around is like a limb, I do think that it stays the same. But of course, depending on species, it is kind of hard to determine the detached lifespan because they would both need nutrients to bring back, but also additional nutrients to keep just themselves moving and running.
Well, they're not meant. They're just out there for foraging, so I don't think they need that much of a new. Plus, they would just be reabsorbed right back into the main body, so those nutrients would just go to the main body again.
Well, part would go back.
I'm not saying all, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, majority.
Yeah.
That's my mistake that they do need the additional stuff.
Okay, so also, full green skin, or are we actually going with skin tones too?
I'm gonna say the younger ones will definitely be fuller green, as parts of skin would harden or dry out a little bit or get wounded. They would definitely tan a little bit. So I'm gonna say based on age.
Ah, and is the skin flammable?
Depends on how dry it is. Because you can just light every tree on fire. There is a lot of moisture coursing through that motherfucker.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying like how easy it is.
Definitely easier than human.
Probably like a few seconds exposed to flame, probably direct flame.
Once again, depends on how dry it is. I do think that if
Direct flame will dry something out really fast.
that is true, but that with wood that can still take up to like a minute or something.
That is still pretty fast.
True.
Human.
I'm actually gonna say that okay, I'm gonna say that the main body, if we're going with that, would definitely be more susceptible to fire.
Alright. I would say like its hair and such are more susceptible to
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of hair, full on leaves, actual hair fiber follicles or whatever they're called. But you know what I mean. Or what kind of hair are we doing with these their girls?
Okay.
Full leaves or full hair?
Okay.
Or a mixture?
Assuming they're also meant to, if they're like predator plants and need animal nutrients or actually social contacts with other races, I'm gonna say they probably would have the kind of fibers that aren't just... Okay, so roots aren't just the strings you can see, because eventually they do split off in tiny little like hair-like substances, so I can imagine that. So they could probably just get a little bit of moisture from the air as they move around. But I do think that it would be more... Okay, if it's long hair, it would be roots. If it's shorter hair, I can imagine leaves, if I'm being honest.
So we're pretty much just going all plant hair then? That's the side you're on?
Yeah.
And I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, so what about you? What do you think their skin will be like? Do you think it's gonna be like subtle like a flower stem or more crunchy like tree bark?
I think I'm more on the subtle side for ours. Because I think having like tree bark skin is just a lot for the plant to produce. Unless it's special cases.
Okay. I mean, you are correct about that part. So, I thought you were going to use this argument because they have to be absorbed again.
I mean, all living things decompose, so...
Yes, but some things a lot easier than others.
Nah, they'll be more on the subtle side.
Okay.
Again, special cases outside that.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely agree with that section.
Okay, just gotta address this. Annuals or perennials?
1 second. English is not my first language, so could you elaborate?
So, you know when you plant flowers, they pretty much go into like two categories, annuals and perennials. I believe it's annuals that come back year after year, but they still die during the winter time. I think perennials persist throughout the spring. I'm trying to remember.
Okay, in that case, I'm definitely gonna go with perennials, if that is
I'm gonna Google Sensei.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go with perennials. After all, if they have sentience, them just dying wouldn't really be efficient. So I could see like a hibernation at most, but
Okay. Yeah, I think they're going to be kind of a hibernating sort of species for sure. But okay, difference between annuals and perennials. Annuals, they last for one season, they bloom continuously, and you can plant them anytime. And perennials return for many seasons, bloom for a few weeks, then, but they're usually planted in the spring or fall. So I think we're all going to have perennial.
yep.
To be returning. So yep, that's good to establish that. I know it was a pretty obvious argument, so just had to bring it up though, because
Yeah.
flappers.
Okay, there's actually something I do need to address here.
Okay.
Maturity. Like, when. Because some plants only start blooming, like, in their second year of growth.
Yeah.
But since these are more creatures, I do think that while compared to humans, they would still mature fast, but I do think it would take a little bit longer for them to be considered mature according to plant logic.
I definitely think, I guess, especially with like fantasy lores and a bunch of cultures, our plant girls can live thousands of years if they're in the right environment. We have our elder tree folk and all that.
Okay, I think that's gonna stretch it, but I do think it's gonna be a long road.
A few hundred years.
Okay.
So 1,000. Average 1,000 years.
I honestly gonna think like 600 at most.
They just live very long.
Yes, but it also dies very quickly.
It's kind of like lobsters and actually like lobsters and jellyfish. They don't die unless they're killed, kind of thing.
Wait, that also applies to certain lobsters?
Yeah.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, lobsters and jellyfish. Well, lobsters have the ability. They just get so big they can't even hold their own shell when they're old, man. So that's why they die. But they technically don't die. They just starve themselves usually. I think it is.
Oh, that's one way to go.
But anyway, I'm kind of on like that. They're not gonna die unless they're killed, kind of thing.
What do you... Okay. That is kind of a difficult one, because... What do you consider getting killed in this scenario?
Your main body being burned alive.
Alright. I still
That
think...
would do it.
I mean, I still think that they are pretty easy to die. After all...
I'm not saying it's hard to kill them. I'm just saying, like, it can happen. And that's why. They don't live like thousands of years. That's probably why you only see them like around 100 years. Because some external force has came in and messed up their main body.
Yeah, okay, I don't... Like, I do think they would have longevity, but I don't think they would have that they would be immortal like that, if I'm being honest.
They're not immortal. They can die, though. Just from external factors.
One second, do you count sickness as an external or internal factor?
It can be both, depending on... Because sicknesses come in all shapes and sizes. Just like our monster girls.
Alright, starvation? Internal or external?
Again, that's actually both as well, because the main body might not be able to produce a limb that can get enough nutrients for the main body and such, like in our example, if it's grown big enough. So,
Okay.
kind of on the lobster thing, like it just can't get enough food anymore. So that's why you can see for only a few hundred years.
Yeah, that's
the main
kind of...
body has grown so big they can't get enough nutrients for it.
Alright, alright. Yeah, okay, I'm not really with you on this one.
Oh yeah? Like, what's your problem with it?
Oh, one second. Accidentally pulled down the charger of my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Son of a bitch. Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
I said, like, what's your problem with it? Like,
I don't agree with your, with how you phrased it. Like, they don't die unless killed mentality.
okay, so what's the problem then? Establish your problem.
Okay, so
We'll solve it.
okay, 1 second. First of all, them eating, I don't think as them not eating. I don't count that as them getting killed. If the weather, so if 1 second, let me just think of the words in English real quick.
Mhm.
Okay, considering we gave them 2 ways to get nutrients,
Yeah.
getting food should be relatively doable.
Yeah.
But I don't consider that them getting killed if they fail at acquiring said nutrients. This also includes water and the other external factor that plants need,
Mhm.
sunlight, or UV light to be exact.
I mean, there's like trees and such out there that's like 100 years.
Yeah.
And, like, they'll.
Like I said, longevity, sure. But sometimes cells just start decaying faster than they can be replaced.
Yeah, but we're not dealing with normal cells. These are just plant cells.
Yes, this also applies to plants.
Ew.
Yes.
Mm,
Like,
uh,
trees are, for example, plants that can have a long life. But other plants like
mhm.
dandelions, poppies,
Yeah, but these aren't simple flowers. These are actual living beings. So.
who also would have natural lifespans.
Man, this would have been a great hill fucking segment, wouldn't it?
Yes,
Ah!
but whose
Oh,
hill
yeah,
would
I
it
don't
be?
Well, I'm the one proposing fucking immortality asterisk mark right now. So.
Yeah, I do think that out of everything that we're gonna talk about, these are definitely gonna be in the top 3
Mhm.
of things that can live the longest. I'm not denying that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm just kinda arguing with the immortality bit.
Like, unless it's an external, like. Sorry about that.
Okay, so the thing, but what do you consider a internal factor?
Internal factor?
Yeah.
Like something internal that can kill it?
No, I named a couple things and you said they're
Mhm.
both. So I'm curious what you consider to be a internal factor.
Uh, well, those are things that can kill it. That's from the inside. So it's like, I don't think our plant folk are going to be developing like our diseases, like a cancer. I don't think they'll get cancer for sure. I don't think they'll catch a common cold. So I don't think they. Do they need an immune system? Now that I think about it,
Yes.
like a non-normal stabilized, just like the plant immune system.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I don't got anything on my list right now for internal factor.
Yeah. Hell, they need technically they probably need a way better immune system because of how the structure of a plant cell is compared to an animalistic cell. I run a plant cell is mostly made so that it can withhold the pressure from within that give it its rigidness.
Mm-hmm.
A animal cell, however, is bendable, malleable, squished, and honestly has a little bit of a thicker membrane.
Let's just fuse ourselves, those two cells together, because why not?
Oh yeah, I was okay with that.
Because it's pretty much a hybrid, so we got to hybrid these cells, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting anywhere on this discussion. We're both kind of firm in this, our stances. But let's talk about solidarity or social.
Okay, before I go into that one, I do want to address one specific subspecies of plant girl, the dryads.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of a dryad going into one tree, coming out of the other, and then saying, "Oh, the forest is connected."
Teleportation. Teleportation. Yeah.
Like, realistically speaking, I'm kinda against that whole concept on its own, because there are trees that are connected like that, but that's not the majority. Like, there's one forest that is just basically one big ass tree.
Well, there's a thing that dryads are just like living trees technically, like the spirit of the living tree as well.
Yeah.
And if we use that argument, I can see it for like that one tree alone. Like they can travel through that one tree, but that's it, not like another tree.
Yeah.
And that's if we're making them like a dryad, a spirit of a tree, and not like a being off of that tree. You get what I mean?
Kinda.
Yeah. So teleportation or social? Oh, wow.
Okay,
wow.
sorry. I'm against
Solid-
the teleportation, but I do think that they are social creatures because plants are surprisingly social.
Yeah, I think I think like its main body is like hidden away in solidarity, but it's our secondary limb body is like can be social with other creatures and such.
Yeah, I honestly think they are. Honestly, let's see. I'm gonna say definitely more so. Wait, which one did? Okay, which one did we have of solidarity? Like, lamias were tight communities.
Yeah.
Centaurs were herds, a little bit of roaming here and there.
Harpies are are a little bit of solidarity.
Yeah, I do think that with how
every case, there's a case for everything where they can be in solidarity or in social groups.
Yeah, but considering their hybrid nature, I'm actually gonna say they're gonna be in the upper tier of sociability.
They need others of the same species to.
I mean that too.
live.
But mostly, a lot of plants have symbiotic relationships with other animals. A lot of them use bugs and other animals to pollinate, to fertilize. There's plants that actually consume quote-unquote flesh. There's plants that are parasites, plants that work in tangent with others, like the sloth has just literally eats the moss that grows on its belly.
Again, I'm saying the main host body is just by itself hidden away, but again, its limb body is very social.
Yeah, but I'm also just saying that plants are just social interspecies.
I get what you mean, but I'm just saying for our monster girls right now.
Well, they could also just be hiding in groups because strength in numbers. So I'm actually gonna say that they're just social all around. And
plant girls can be scary. I don't think they need.
Oh, they can be scary, yeah, but I do think that they are more of they're more of the social type of monster girl.
Hmm.
Okay. Another thing that we can probably generalize, if we're putting all plant girls in the same boat, do you
Yeah.
think that they would give live birth? Do you think they produce seeds?
I. At most, some sort of asexual reproduction, but not even. n- Like, I don't really think they do quote unquote breed. I don't think this is a species that really wants to. It's
Yeah. Okay,
you get what I mean?
I am gonna disagree with you here. There are indeed plants that do produce asexually, like ferns, because of spores.
Yeah.
But the majority of plants, and I do mean like 90% of what we consider plants, does need input from another organism, specifically one of either its same species or at least its same genus, because crossbreeding is a thing that we humans do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I actually think that they would need to breed for good offspring. Hell, by giving them sentience, the need would even be bigger to provide with a good mate for good offspring, like someone who grows better, someone who's taller, sturdier, more resistant to diseases.
Maybe. Because, like, in many pretty much fictional lore, the ability to have a very long life leaves you very numb to time and such.
Yeah, I can definitely see that argument.
Like, there's this one manga about, I forget what it's called, but it's about like a female elf wizard, and she just goes around just getting spells and increasing her magic.
Oh, that one
And,
got
like,
an anime recently.
Yeah, her species is dying out because elves just live so long that they don't even see the need to breed and such.
Yeah, the concept of time is definitely something that could kind of mess with their personality there.
Yeah, they're around for like so long. It's like they don't really need it to breed since they are very long. They may produce like they can, but they really don't see the need to, kind of thing. That's what I'm saying. They already beat our human lives by like sixfold already by your estimation, and that's the best of our lives.
Yeah. Okay, so what team are you on? That because I actually think they still need to reproduce way more than else, at least.
I don't think they need to reproduce. I think they can reproduce. Well, I'm going to go with Team Seed on this, being honest here, though. I think that, like, when they get to the near end of their lifespan, their main body starts to produce this large seed for the next generation, quote unquote.
Okay.
And then when that certain species lifespan is, quote unquote, over, and however way it ends, the seed is planted anew within the corpse of the old main body, using that as a fertilizer of some sort.
Okay,
It takes
I
a
can
lot of
agree
energy
with.
to form this one seed, so
I
that's why they
agree
spend
with
it, like,
some of that part, but not with
What'd you
the
get?
total number, because I do think that plant girls would have to produce more than that they are. Mostly because I don't see them very high on the food chain, like middle at best.
Mm, I'm just saying like one large seed near the end of their lifespan for sure. I'm not saying they can't produce another seed, but I'm just saying like at the end of their lifespan, they're making this one large, very important seed to continue on. Their
Literally their final nuts.
yeah.
Okay, I can get behind the final nut theory, but considering they are living organisms
Mm-hmm.
that realistically would not have the same values as fantasy elves, because
Yeah.
remember, those elves are made from our human perception of they have a long life. They probably don't want to get down and jiggy with it.
I mean, aren't we making our own thing right now all about that? Our own human interpretation of our monster girls right now?
Yes, and I'm using a biology input on it.
Uh-huh.
So, while it is true that certain species, like elephants, whales,
Mm.
who live longer, don't see the urgency to reproduce,
Mm-hmm.
I plants are completely different matter. Because they only produce flowers
Mm-hmm.
if they have the nutrients to spare, and when they think, oh, now's not the best time to, produce offspring, they actually don't bloom. But as soon as they're able to, they just flowers.
Hmm. We do have to take some liberty. We are doing.
Yeah, like, I definitely think it's not as much as flowers would. I just think they definitely would need it, and it's probably seasonal. But I do think that they would try to produce as. Okay, I'm gonna put them just as a compromise in the lower end of need to breed.
Mm-hmm. Like very low is what I'm saying.
Mm. Yeah, and honestly, I'm just kind of letting it go because we're spending a
Mhm.
lot of time on on this subject.
I mean, this is us just circling back like we always do.
Yes, that is true. But I'm just gonna say that I think they probably are. Are okay. I'm gonna use if we're using humans as a baseline
Mm-hmm.
with their. If we assume that they are in a good environment where they can live long,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. Okay. I'm gonna say that combined with our idea of them actually being able to live long,
Yeah.
if the opportunity arises, I do think that they would try to at least produce an offspring every decade or a few of them. Because
Well, you know what? Since they have such long lives, why not like once every 100 years kind of thing?
if it's like tree based,
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. If it's more of a smaller plant based, like all runes or flower pixies, I'm gonna lower that. But I am
Flowers is
okay
not plant.
with. Okay, for trees and ants, I'm gonna go for like around the 50 years at highest. But I do think that it would be. I still think it would be a little bit more frequent with how seasons work and such. Okay, so we talked about how their sub body or
Mhm.
forage limb, or how are we gonna refer to it?
However we want. We know what we're talking about.
All right. Do you think that they would need to use their main body to reproduce, or do you think they could use their forage appendage for it?
Well, that brings up an interesting kind of question I had. Are they able to crossbreed, kind of thing?
Um, does our baby juice work with their chloroplast?
Okay, when you say crossbreed, do you mean like with other?
Human X plant just based right now.
If they're slutfolk compatible.
Yeah. Does the human glue work? Yeah, that's
Okay, I am
I-
actually gonna potentially make them a little bit darker.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say they're able to, if they're able to produce enough source material, like human proteins.
Um, I think that the sub body itself is not able to do the reproduction. That's all in the main body. But you can definitely do the deed with the sublimb here. So and it can use whatever it gets from you as nutrients.
I think that for to crossbreed they would have to at least have
I'm not saying
consumed
I
some
don't think
human.
they can crossbreed though. I'm not going to say they can crossbreed. I think this is one of our monster girls that can't do it unless it's with another of the plant folk
Yeah.
variety.
Okay, with plant folks, yes. But I'm gonna say that with the different species, they would to have consumed a certain amount of that species. Like,
I at most I can say it can influence the next plant folk, but it's not really combining.
yeah, more of an assimilation is what you're suggesting.
Yes.
Yeah,
kinda thing.
that's kind of the same what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we can both agree on that. It's not
Yeah.
really a crossbreed. It's just you're with your mind now, kind of thing.
Yeah, I do think that you can, to use a botanical term here, I do think you can graft different plant girls.
Yeah.
But if you use the forge appendage to gather the materials to make an offspring, that's kind of like describing how succubuses were used to create witches in mythology.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely on board with that. Okay.
Yeah, probably one of the only monster girls that doesn't need child support.
I mean, they need agricultural support.
I guess.
You don't breed plant girls. You farm them.
So, speaking of grafting limbs, are they able to regrow their limbs on the sub body, or is it like it's gone kind of thing since sub body? Main body, I think they would be able to, but again, the sub body though, since
Okay.
if we're making a disposable body, I don't think it'll be needed.
Okay. What I think the case would be is okay. One second. Let me just. Okay. I know how to describe this. I think if the sub body gets damaged on the current way out, it would probably not be able to recover. But I do think that they could potentially use the main body as like a med bay to basically deliver the nutrients, get built into something else, because that's kind of how biology works, and that way could heal in there. So
It heals probably over their hibernation period, probably, since it might take some time to grow that limb.
yeah, I do think that they could recover in their main body.
Yeah, I can get on that. Like, they don't just naturally like regrow like a Namekian from Dragon Ball Z, just pop.
Yeah, that is a completely different being. Those are more like slugs.
Yeah, but you get what I mean. Not just like instant regrowth.
Yeah.
Like, oh look, I just take this flower and put it on my arm, and now it's my new arm. Yeah. Kind of thing. Let me see what other topics I had. So, do you think our plant folk are kind of like bringing this up, guardians of their forest slash plants nearby, or are they just in it for themselves, kind of thing?
Okay.
Mhm.
If it's a communal species, then definitely. Then they're territorial as fuck. If it's just a, let's say, a sapling that got put there, like blown by the wind or the current,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say they're probably more trying to be subtle as to not
Mhm.
try to direct attention towards their main body.
All right.
But I'm gonna say majority, yes. What about you?
Like I'm can see it both ways as well. I think like in their early lives, they're more about growing, focusing on that, so they're not really needing to worry about the other plant life around them that much. They need to preserve the main body and such. And then when they get older, they can kind of develop the area around their main body and protect that area, but not in their young life, I'll say.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Is like, what's the point of protecting something if it's not even worth living in at that point? Or they're just not strong enough. Okay, kind of also bring that kind of loosely related, talking to plants and flora. Hearing the voice of nature kind of thing. Think they have that
Oh,
ability,
you mean
or
like
yeah.
I was kind of hoping poison ivy would pop out as we said that.
Yeah.
But the poison ivy kind of situation.
Well, just in general, like the lore that dryads and plant folks can talk to plants.
I think
Because
they can.
I know plants can communicate to each other, like how grass, when you cut it, it'll release a scent to other grasses and know dangers nearby. Even though it's
Yeah,
useless
so I do
mechanism.
think that it would be like that, and because they have more intelligence, they can probably actually understand a bit more about the area that they're in. But
Mhm.
I'm gonna say that it wouldn't be like actively like, hello there, Mr. Rose. How was your day today? Ah,
Mhm.
what a shame that happened to the wife. Like, I don't think it's gonna be like a two-way conversation.
I think it's kind of in like D&D terms, like surface level thoughts of like telepathy.
Yes.
As like you can tell like like how it's feeling, how it's doing, but you're not gonna have a conversation. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, okay. Glad we're on the same page for that.
Another question. Uh, clothing. Is it made of plants? Do they wear regular clothes, or is it all natural?
I'm just kind of thinking about that answer real quick. Give me a sec.
Yeah. Did they have the leaf bras, or are they fine with normal human clothes again, or just all natural?
Okay.
Because I feel like they don't need it at all, any at all.
Yeah, I'm honestly gonna say since they don't
Mhm.
since they don't you know, interbreed like harpies do.
Mhm.
I know we also said lamias don't do it, but
Yeah.
those actually still can interact with others.
Yeah.
But with this one, I'm gonna say, yeah, they prefer it to be au naturel. But I
They
do think that there are
skin.
the nature spirits that are more
Uh-huh.
human in nature. Like once again, I'm gonna use poison ivy as an example, and the Sedidad, who's currently on the screen.
Like, why do they need them?
Poison Ivy's a human, by the way. Not
I know.
really a tree spirit. So
I know,
using
but
her as an example
she's
does
the
not really help.
she is the most well-known plant girl to man.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
But yeah, okay. There's a little bit of lore behind the Saditas, but
Mhm.
yeah, they since Saditas do interact with other races. But yeah, I'm gonna say that they can cover it up, but that's only out of politeness, like monkey sees, monkey does.
I guess clothing are a social construct.
Yeah,
What was that whole movement? Free the nips.
there's a lot of them. Like, I've heard about free
Yeah.
the Ghiblis and such.
Yeah, you know what I mean, though. Yeah. You want us to wear clothes, but these people don't. What's up with this, guys? Would totally confuse them.
Yeah, like, the fuck are pants? So, yeah.
Yeah.
To kind of summarize on that one, I agree that it would be of their own making, if at all. Because, okay, so I'm gonna use a Pokemon as an example here.
Yeah.
You know how the Orchid Mantis pretends to be a plant by camouflage,
Yeah.
and Lurentis does the opposite, pretends to be a bug, but is actually a plant?
Yeah.
I do think that's they would do something like that just out of mimicry.
I totally think our plant folk do have a camouflage mechanic, actually. I wanted to bring that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, kind of like Chameleon, they're able to change their skin colors.
Well, that's
to
more of
match.
an octopus thing.
You know, I mean, the whole camo. I'm just bringing it up because that's just, blending in to nature and all that. They can definitely change the colors. Because you can even change some plants' colorations too if you give them like dyed water. Like if you take like a white rose and you put it in like a thing of blue water, it'll turn into a blue rose.
Okay, but that is a whole different matter. That's like
I know, but I'm just saying they're able to change colors.
yeah, but that's like putting a white shirt in the colored wash.
Well, you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah, but that's technically a completely different thing. That is just chemistry.
Yes, I guess.
Yeah, so considering how plants work, they absorb the water, water goes to the leaves.
Mhm. Okay.
So
Speaking of getting water, how about their diets? Kinda. It's like we touched a little bit on what they eat. Like,
so
I'm gonna say they're omnivores technically.
oh yeah, well
Like in even more broader sense than us, than a human aren't omnivore who eats just meats and veggies. Like, I think they can even do rocks if they really felt like it.
okay, so I do think they can, if they put like soil in their mouth in the like their stomachs to quote unquote store it, I do think they can grab the nutrients from that, but I don't think.
They could definitely be terravores as well.
Yeah.
That's why I'm including in the omnivore.
Yeah, but I kind of want to exclude something out in that omnivore.
What?
I don't think they'd be able to digest plant matter themselves.
You don't think they can't eat other plants and turn that into energy?
Not really. There's because I did mention parasitic plants before, but that is something completely different. That's not eating the plant matter, that's just tapping in a plant's veins to just steal their cells and such.
I mean, I don't see why they can't do that.
Yeah, but that's not really eating plants. That's more like being a that's more like being a vegetative vampire.
Vegetable vampire. Okay. I mean, I think they'd be able to, like, break it down the substance inside their sub-body if they really need to. It's kind of like, I would think like humans eating bugs. Like, we can do it. We don't want to, but we can. I mean, think of all the protein bugs have, and then how much we're avoiding them because of how disgusting they are, just from looks.
That is true.
So I think we can eat them. It's just they're not preferred, just like us. It's not efficient, I'd say, as just taking like a, because I think they would enjoy a dead body in the forest.
Yeah, like actually, I think they would prefer meat over plants.
Oh yeah, I'm totally with you on that. But it's like they can, just choose not to, because it's not enough energy to get out of it compared to like a living being. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I'm okay with them eating corpses. I'm okay with them eating dirt. I'm just saying, I
Mhm.
don't think they process have the capabilities to, digest plant matter on their own.
That's what I'm saying. It's not worth the energy. They get it. They can, just not worth it.
Okay, yeah.
Because
Fair.
it's like it's not enough nutrients for them to process, or in some general, I guess that way. You got any other topics? Because I brought up a few.
Okay, definitely biomes. Since these are plant girls, I do think there's going to be a lot of species since we are being broad.
Yeah,
Places where they would. I think it would be easy to just name places where they would not spawn, just to
Arctic.
narrow it down.
Arctic and tundras for sure. I believe.
I'm gonna
be two-
say there's not gonna be. There would not be a lot of them in Australia,
Australia.
because like
Australia has its own vegetation.
yeah,
So
it has some
everywhere
vegetation,
everywhere
but
has its own vegetation, unless it's like.
like there's some vegetation, but the majority of Australia in the center is just wasteland.
I mean, you think about it, there's nothing out in the middle of some deserts, so that'd be an obvious place. They would not be able to really bloom. Not even cactus out there.
Yeah,
So definitely places in like the Middle East.
yeah. So
Uh,
I do. Where do you think they would be uh, most likely to be?
Probably if we take our world map, probably somewhere in like South America, like or like the Brazil like area continents
Yeah.
down there. I think that's our most likely good candidates.
Okay,
Like,
that definitely would be like the Galapagos, fair,
yeah,
the variant
down
of
there,
Galapagos Islands for finches, for
down
months.
past Mexico,
Yeah.
pretty much.
I honestly think there would also be a lot of them in
Hmm.
like like Germany.
I think it's like rainforests are their like preferred environment, but for
Yeah,
regular
for a
forests
lot of them.
themselves,
But I do think that a
Mhm.
surprising amount would be in Germany specifically.
why?
The Black Forest.
Yeah, I guess.
Because there are some massive ass woods in Europe.
There's massive woods in a lot of places.
I know, but depending on if it's a forest that is mostly one species, that would allow a certain species of plant growth to thrive, versus
Uh-huh.
a mixed wood, which would have, well, a whole bouquet of them.
I think just rainforests in general are like their preferred environment. They can sustain themselves in regular forests as well. But it's really gotta be a really vegetative, populated place, though, in general.
True.
I think they'd be like, though I honestly think they'd be closer to the equator line than being closer to the poles. In any case,
Uh, I'll be honest. I think they, instead of the Ecuador, I think they would be, if we're focusing on the South America group, Peru,
Yeah.
Brazil,
yeah,
like closer to the Amazon.
yeah. Hell, in the Amazon, why not?
Oh hell yeah!
The Amazon would be like their perfect home. place.
That is true. That is indeed true.
That's what I'm saying. Like the Amazon rainforest would be like their best, their home to live in. And in some cases, I can see the main body being subterranean, but that's I don't know about that myself, but that's like an iffy conditions there. Some subterranean plant folk.
I'm actually gonna say no to that one because,
No,
like, if we're including mushroom people, which I
they would
buy,
be.
which I am actually saying no to because of discipline. No, wait, is discipline the correct word?
If you wanted to be, I guess.
Eh. But I'm not saying I'm saying mushroom girls are a whole separate thing.
Okay.
But plants do need a certain amount of energy to provide photosynthesis.
Oh, I'm just saying like the main body being really subterranean. Really, it would be deep and rooted in the ground at least. It could pop out a giant, like, okay, so I know Allorain's being a thing. A giant flower is it viable?
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, fine. Okay. Okay, there's actually something I do wonder with both sub and main body.
Yeah.
If we're talking about offspring, with plants that is mostly the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Will that be the case with plant girls too, or will they also provide food to, if they're carnivorous, to lure and prey, for example?
I think it's a mixable, technically. They would I think they would produce fruits and such. It could be a rare alchemical ingredient too. Like, I don't know what it would be like. I'm just thinking like mango off the top of my head, kind of, sort of. I don't know why. Like, but that's like the closest to a tropical fruit. I don't know why, or a dragon fruit, something like that. It's like a weird fruit, I would say.
Okay. Okay, I can see where you're coming from with there.
Yeah, that's just an aesthetics wise. It kind of looks like something like that, just like a ballish kind of fruit. But it's definitely like it has a very alluring scent to it that they could use to attract certain creatures to its location, so it can absorb it into the main body.
Okay. So I actually have a counter argument for that one.
Sure.
Instead of producing fruit, I think they would produce more of a strong smelling goop, like.
Well, the Allorain do that with their nectar, strong smelling nectar, and then they lure and prey to the body where the flower closes and absorbs them in, kind of thing.
Yeah, but other plants do that too. Like trees produce flowers to actually lure insects, because that is the whole reason flowers have colors, to be more attractive to insects.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Definitely our plant folk are definitely insectivores, for sure, man.
Another term that we can use for them, herbivores.
Yeah. I feel like that would be an offensive slang to use in the world if you called them that, though.
Oh, hell yeah. How dare you call this oak lady the H word?
Okay, yeah. I said herbivore! Herbivore! God! Okay. Yeah. Crap, what was I on? So,
yeah, about producing food. Like, I think they produce more of sap, nectar. I don't think they would produce food to be eaten unless they want their seed to be spread.
I feel like it might just be a byproduct, though. It's kind of like, I know we said earlier that they don't get much nutrition from vegetables and such and other plants, but I think there's an exception for their own fruits. I will say, I think they will produce these fruits as a sort of reserve. Like later on, they make these fruits because they're just not, they haven't got to it yet, kind of thing.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
I think that would be like our one exception to our rule here is their own fruit, since it's to be used later, and that's why it's like a rare alchemical ingredient. We can
Oh,
use
so
for
it's
reason.
basically like
Mhm.
a fat storage.
Pretty much, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's why it could be an in-lore reason why it'd be like a rare alchemical ingredient, like the fruit of a dryad. It's like, oh shit, you got one of those?
Damn, son, where'd you get that?
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, I'm kind of spitballed it, but I'm kind of on the train now with that. What's your thoughts on it?
Okay, if we see it like a way for them to store resources for like the winter,
Yeah.
then I'm more on board with it than I was before, because it does make sense for them to actually do that.
Mhm. Alright. Yeah.
Okay, now is the question: how do they interact with other species?
I guess other species, we did say in their older lives that they are guardians of their pretty much area around their main body and such. So I think like the plant folk would definitely offer protection to like smaller beings like fairies and others in their areas, and those ones would provide them with nutrients for them in return, kind of thing. And if need be, they can go out of their limits to with their sub body to trade with other cultures, with rare plants from deep within forests that are not otherwise readily available, that you don't need to take like month-long excursions for. It's like they can bring you rare plants and such needed.
Okay.
Since of course we're in a magical world, there's going to be a lot more variety you need in there.
True.
And if in really large cases of emergency, they can trade one of their fruits.
Aha.
Probably not for nutrients, since they are literally trading nutrients away at that point. But it's probably like in dire need of like an item. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I can see what. Because it is all about about demand and such.
Mhm.
So,
But
yeah.
that's how I see their interaction with others. You got anything to add on to that, or want to change that?
Okay, there's actually something I am wondering about.
Mhm.
What about wild grown versus farmed?
God. I like just in their personality or just overall differences.
Overall differences, because sometimes the wild ones are bigger, sometimes the one that humans grow specifically.
It is incredibly hard to grow one.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like you will, and even if you are quote unquote successful, it's not gonna take, like, it's not gonna quote unquote bloom for probably decades, since it's forming its sub body. I don't know how long that is, but I'm just saying is like you're probably not going to see the fruits of your labor for like maybe like 50 years kind of thing. You get what I mean? If you are
Yeah.
planting one,
Hmm?
and if you are successful,
Yeah.
like the pH balance of the soil has to be just right. You can't have these kind of plants nearby. It's like it's a lot of, it's not worth it kind of thing.
I mean, I would argue with that one, but it is
Maybe
definitely
not
not for the everyday man.
impatient. Yeah, it's not going to be a cash crop for sure. But like, if a family is able to somehow produce one of our plant folk, I would say that the plant folk would be very dependent on them, that family. In exchange, they might hand over a fruit maybe every 100 years to them, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of more.
That would be like the only reason you would grow one of these girls.
Okay.
It's like I can see another reason, like a farmer plants one and is able to successfully, but they're like so old by the time it grows that they pretty much can only see it as a daughter or granddaughter of some sort.
Yeah.
But that's like, yeah, that's the only other reason. But I don't know why they would plant it for that reason like 50 years ago. But you get what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. But definitely homegrown ones are definitely more, I'd say, spoiled in personality, I'd guess.
Okay.
They might be a little bit more social than our wild grown, but they definitely have that that princess vibe to them. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I can definitely see what you mean.
Uh, Another thing I want to bring up: how big are we making these main bottles?
Okay, so this is where we probably need to start getting into subspecies and such.
Okay.
Let me just. I'm just working on something in the background real quick. Okay, so if we're talking about tree-based ones like dryads,
Yeah.
I think that their main body is, I'm gonna say, slightly bigger than than the tree would be normally because they have an additional influx.
Mm-hmm.
But with some ones that try to at least try to keep them hidden, they might be even a bit littler. If we're talking about their sub body, I do
Yeah.
think that most of them would actually be slightly taller than your average human.
I can see it. I think for like the main bodies, since those are going to be mainly planted underground, they're pretty decently sized seeds at the start. Maybe like the size of a basketball. You know what I mean? The seed alone.
Okay, I was actually
Uh-huh. Or do we
gonna
wanna do,
go
like-
like tennis ball.
Really?
Yeah. Because do remember, they would have to get that basketball-sized seed out of them.
That's what I'm saying. But takes a long time for them to produce a seed. I would say though.
You know, that is a good point.
Like they're producing the seed. It just takes a while. That's why it's big, and it's gotta produce like this large plant body as well as a sub body later on. It's gotta have a lot packed into it.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
pretty much like making two bodies at once, sort of.
You know what? I do think that that's a immature plant girl, meaning before the sub body gets formed,
Mm-hmm.
would actually be able to produce pseudo fruits.
I guess. You know what? Maybe a basketball is too big. Maybe like American football size. It would be around like the same shape technically.
Okay, yeah, that is a size I'm way more okay with.
Kind of meet you in the middle there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like about American football size. Another rare alchemical ingredient plant folk seeds. So you pretty much take one. You just took a baby.
Yeah, I'm definitely more okay with a rugby ball.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that you plant that, that would sprout. Like, how big is our flower though? Because I know like olive rains, they're manly flower with body and sides. Those grow to be pretty decent size. Like,
Okay.
our dryad, are we gonna give our dryads a big flower, or are we gonna make them a tree?
Okay, if dried tree flowers, so those are just a whole lot, but relatively small.
Mhm.
With the all runes, I'm gonna say make them kinda like Rafflesia sized.
What size?
Rafflesia,
Really? Ah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
the biggest plant that stinks like rotting meat.
Yeah, I get you, man. I know which one. The one Vile Food is based off of.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one. That one. I think it might be a little bit bigger, like probably like twice the size of that, technically, for an alley rain.
I will not say twice, because those things are pretty big already.
Yeah.
Like a normal Rafflesia, just the.
You gotta think. You gotta put like multiple bodies inside that thing, Mando.
Oh!
Because there are subspecies of alley rain where there's two bodies instead.
Oh, if we're talking about like clusters like barnacles, that changes everything.
I guess.
Okay, would they be able to speak?
I feel like, just like our limited plant thoughts, it's a limited vocabulary. It's
Yeah.
like they can already tell surface level thoughts of other plants, and if they're with their own kind, I guess if we did that instead of solidarity, they'd be able to read their surface thoughts too because they're plants as well. So I think it's like limited speak, sorta.
Okay. I actually would like to offer you an alternative instead of just a vocal communication.
Yeah.
Uh, what I want like to offer is, you know how channel works in PTU. Like, it isn't
Yeah.
full-blown telepathy. It's more like a advanced vibe check.
Well, you connect with your mon in that system.
Yeah, but it isn't full-blown.
Senses sharing kind of thing.
Well, not sense sharing, but more like uh, sharing emotions and such.
Okay.
Like
I mean-
more like more like a shared empathy.
I guess. I mean, if they're just by themselves, they would really just don't even really need to talk since they can just get those surface level thoughts and such already. So
Yeah,
they
so
don't
I
really
think
need
it's
to
more
talk.
of a pheromone-based,
Mhm.
limited telepathy to communicate with other species.
Yeah. I can get with you on that one as
Okay.
well.
Yeah, so to a little bit they get their intent across,
Mhm.
their kind of mood, but not like exact words. Like,
Mhm.
you
Like
wanna
they're
tell-
happy. How happy you don't know, but they're happy.
Yeah, like, sure. If you know the plant goal, you can definitely learn. Okay, if she's very happy, it feels like this. If she's kind of happy, it feels like
It
this.
smells like that.
If she's just smiling, but she's willing to just rip my liver out,
She's angry.
it smells like almonds.
Yeah, like if you really get to know them, you can pick up on like the subtle cues, just
Yeah.
like any person. But
Yeah,
Of
and
course.
that would also make communication better. So I'm gonna say that
Mhm.
that homegrown, uh,
Yeah.
homegrown plant folk would definitely actually be more in tune with communicating like that.
Yeah. Like, definitely languages are just definitely a social construct again. So it's a learned thing. You would have to teach them. Wild growns don't really know words like that. They just know how to
Yeah,
communicate the emotions
yeah.
and
So I
smells and all
do
that.
think
But
that homegrown ones actually would be able to speak a couple words.
oh yeah, mimicry for sure. They
Yeah.
would definitely be able to mimic it.
Okay.
And kind of on this like shared senses kind of thing. Um, I think it's a good time to bring out the hill now.
Okay, your hill.
Yeah, I got my hill to die on now, man.
All right.
Because we're kind of close to the territory of where my hill is.
Blackout. The hill is yours.
Yeah. All right, buddy. This is the hill I'm gonna die on. Um, I think our plant folk are gonna be visually impaired to a certain extent, and they have a sort of, in D&D terms, tremor sense capabilities.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
listening.
Um, being mainly wild-grown ones, because plants they don't really see in general, of course, really. But they don't need to see or talk really, since they have our uh, now limited telepathy and pheromone thing. So they're able to sense the area around them with their sub body through like vibrations in the ground and earth, since they are a very connected to the earth species. I think that's a pretty obvious thing we didn't need to mention, but they're very connected to the earth. So
Okay.
I think they do have like uh for those who don't know what tremor sense is, Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender, how she senses those vibrations through the ground. Like they can pick up like a bunch of vibrations to their environment of any changes and such. Their walking allows them to get their general area and such, but and they are, if we're gonna give them, they're very visually impaired where they can make out like dangers and such. But generally, I'm closer to leaning blinded.
Okay.
What are your feelings on this?
Okay, so
Mhm.
unlike the Lamias being deaf, I definitely can see where you're coming from. So I would say that the main body
Yeah.
is definitely, considering it's actually in the ground, rooted and all,
Yeah.
would definitely allow a little bit of tremor sense. But
Yeah.
I do think that the sub body, I will come back to one thing that I'm curious about with this, what that we should
Yeah.
probably mention,
Mm-hmm.
uh, would not have as much tremor sense because they actually move around, so they aren't in the ground as much. They could.
I'm not. That's why I said visually impaired. I'm not saying they don't have eyesight. It's just not. You get what I mean?
And I'm not arguing against that.
Yeah, I
Yet.
definitely agree that the sub body does not have very developed tremor sense like the main body. It's definitely they do have it's a smaller range of it though, like in their immediate like 10 to 20 feet area kind of thing.
Yeah.
And to you that would be like 3 meters to.
Yeah, I understand. A little bit of
Yeah.
like I can definitely, and even with purely plant-based biology, we could easily give them a form of echolocation.
Yeah. That would definitely fit in with like one of our plant folks like holding a staff and like just every now and then just like tapping the ground with it. Kind of.
Yeah.
So definitely how like a blind person would definitely like taps around their canes and such though to look for dangers and other
Yeah.
obstacles in their
So
way.
remember how I mentioned that long-haired would be like the threads that roots produce?
Yeah.
So that can actually be used to get senses from the airwaves. So technically, we already had things established that back up your hill.
Yeah. So you want to come join me on my hill?
On the one side, I see where you're coming from. But
Uh-huh.
on the other side, it's not that you've won me over. It's
Okay,
that,
what do you got? What do you got? Though.
well, my hill will be a little bit later. But
Uh-huh.
okay, so when visually impaired, there's actually something that would make a lot more sense than just bad eye than just blind.
Yeah.
So certain insects like bees, ants,
Uh-huh.
besides the grid eyes that a lot of people are familiar with, they actually have a additional sensory organ
Your antenna, right?
specifically meant to differentiate between light and dark.
I think I've heard about this. Haven't read up on much, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I would actually suggest that, considering how light works, they would basically have more primitive eyes, but their main body would not really have the need to develop these since they aren't really moving most of the time. And that is if we are going with our head cannon. Like, we just put a lot of possibilities aside and mostly just focused on, you know what, sub-body is kind of cool. But to be fair, that's kind of how we do things here.
Yeah. It's our world. It's our cannons. We can do what we want.
So, I do think that they... While I'm not gonna go with blind or as nearsighted as you think, I
Well,
am
they have two
gonna...
bodies, so blind and part visually impaired.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with at least... Wait, nearsighted is the one where you can't see far ahead, right?
I believe so.
Okay, in that case, I do
It's like a
think
reverse.
that
Weird.
our plans girls would be pretty nearsighted.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely that. So, you want to come over to my hill now?
Okay, you definitely won me over with the Lamia Hill. With this one, it wasn't really much of a hill. It was more of a
I
established...
got more for you.
Okay, if you have more for me, go right ahead.
But I don't know if that's good enough. Because this is just the hill I'm dying on. So, I didn't say I have to win you over though. But so.
Yeah, but since I kinda did agree with you from the start, you didn't really die on the hill, so...
Well, I'm not trying to die on the hill. That's the thing.
It's just the hill you're gonna die on.
Yeah. You died on your hill because I broke it.
Yeah.
You didn't die on my. I'm not dying on my hill, so. Because I
Okay.
will die on it, just not now, like you did earlier. These are our hills. We can do whatever we want with them. I don't care when.
Fair. So...
Yeah.
Was that all you had for your hill for today?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I'm not going to bring up multiple things because this is just a small segment for us.
Oh, wait, wrong button.
But I did want to bring it up though, so that's why I'm dying on this hill.
Alright. You know, we might as well do my hill. Mine's a little bit more of a backed up one compared to the last one, because I will admit,
Yeah.
last hill was weak.
What you got for me?
So, everything we talked about, I kind of want to put in a different light.
All right, what you got?
So, you can differentiate different things by how their cells work. I am actually gonna say that plant girls are not plants at all. They're a symbiotic race that use plants as a host. There are animals that are actually able to photosynthesize.
Okay. Is that it?
That's my opening argument.
All right. Elaborate, please.
Okay, so with how plants work, the things that we actually gave them, and this is if we're talking about them more scientifically speaking, not just magic, I don't have to explain shit, but more of a scientific standpoint, the stuff that we've allotted to them doing is simply impossible for a plant-based organism. However, for certain symbiotes that adapt and use their host, in this case plants, are way easier to adapt and assimilate certain aspects. Like there are animals that are able to just integrate with plants and take the benefit from that. Like they provide the plants for both nutrition, protection, and movement, while the plant
Okay.
provides more feeding and other benefits.
Hmm. So you're saying are plant bulk parasites, not plants?
Symbiotes, because I'm saying that while some might be parasitic in nature, some might actually be beneficial for their plant host.
All right.
Because there's actually 3 types of symbiosis. There's
Mhm.
one where the symbiote has benefit and the host has, well, what's the opposite of benefit in English?
I know what you mean.
Okay, let me rephrase it differently. Where the symbiote and the host, where the symbiote has a positive and the host has a negative, that is parasitism. Where both the host and the symbiote have a benefit is mutualism. And the third one is where the symbiote gets a benefit and the host doesn't, is just neutral. I don't know the English word for that one. It feels like you're trying to come up with a counter argument.
No, I was just thinking of the opposite word of benefit. That's what it was.
Fair
And,
enough.
and then you brought up neutral. Benefit? Hindrance. That would be a word.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, hindrance. So, based on their goal, based on their relation is a better phrase.
Mhm.
They could both be a parasite, mutualistic, or the third one. But I don't think that plant girls are plant girls themselves.
Okay. So, if we separate our plant girls and our plants away, like you say,
Yes.
when do they come into contact with each other? I want to ask.
Okay. So for the quote unquote plant girls that are always integrated in their quote unquote, in their plant, like all runes, I'm gonna say in a juvenile state or larval state, where they just integrate themselves and just attach themselves to the plant while they are young. When it comes to more of the tree ones, I think those would find a tree that's already growing while they're in like their, I'm gonna say their pubescent stage, and then just kind of start by making a nest in it, and then slowly start providing for the tree itself so that it also recovers and such. But definitely most of the time before adulthood.
Okay. See, we're getting more questions on the way.
Go ahead.
So, if they are not a part of the plant themselves, what are they classified under? Insect, mammal, not plant, by what you say.
Alright. I am. While insect would be the most easy to explain,
Mm-hmm.
I am actually gonna go with. Okay, 1 second. I have to look the English word for this real quick. Google Sensei. Okay, like I did learn this during school, but I forgot. It has been a while. Well, I'm not gonna classify them as
Mhm.
single-celled organisms. I'm gonna.
Of course. Amoeba.
Amoeba is surprisingly.
That's a single cell organism.
Yeah, I know, but amoeba is close, but not quite the single-celled organism that would fit this description.
That's just like the first single cell.
Yeah,
We'll get to those when we get to slime grid.
yeah. Uh, honestly, you know, what? I actually do want to
Mhm.
convert them as some kind of subspecies of slime girl. Like, there are single-celled organisms that are way too complex to just be single-celled organisms, like most mushrooms. Because there are types of cell that do uh, evolve by assimilating other organisms into them.
We
To
are
be fair,
not
those
talking
are-
about our devour skill, okay? That is a whole different.
There are actually cells that have that exact feature. That's how That's how the first cells actually came to be. But I am just for
So
yeah, I do think
overall,
that's-
you're saying our plant girls are a subspecies of slimes.
I said I'm willing to put them there, but
I'm just trying to figure out what you're calling these
I
because
like
obviously you're not calling them plant girls. You're calling them something else.
yes. The closest thing that's with our human terminology and without upping the perimeters of certain organisms, I am willing to classify them as insects.
Well, I would agree with you. But we have insect girls as another kind of species, but we're talking about plant girls right off the bat, man.
And we're centaurs, not insects, according to you.
Our insect kin are going to be a wild episode, man.
Oh, yes. Just wait till we get to the B part, then I will start flaming.
Feel that week. Anyway. Ah. So plant girls are actually insect girls. That's what you're saying. I just can't see that, man.
Like, I'm willing to classify them as something else, but the hill my exact hill is plant girls aren't actually plants.
That just goes against their name, though, man.
Oh, you're making me say like biologists never name something like it has something always to do with it. Like the word whale in Netherlands, it is not a fish just because it swims.
Do our plant girls have bones? Now I think about it.
Okay, so even if I
coming back to you in a moment, it's like
oh no,
I just hit me. We never talked about that.
yeah, so no matter which one of us admits defeat, even my point
Yeah.
of not being plants and your point of them actually being plants, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say no.
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with the no bones thing. I think it's like an interweaving like plant fibers together, moving the
Yeah.
body. Kind of like how muscle is kind of like interweaving itself.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
If it has
but anyway,
if that's a
back to
if it
Hill.
has a cellulose membrane, then certainly
Mhm.
it can be arranged. So
Yeah.
either way, I'm gonna say no bones.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you on
Closer
that.
to an. I want to say. Okay. I wanted to say exoskeleton, but eternal, like a covered exoskeleton for the subbody.
That's just a skeleton.
I know, but hear me out. How a skeleton works is muscles are attached, and that is what makes it move. that is not the case with an exoskeleton. The fact that it's covered doesn't change the fact that the mechanics behind it would still be an exoskeleton.
I'm just gonna throw out the no bones. I'm just sticking with no bones, man.
Oh yeah, me too. But
No bones, no exoskeleton, no skeletal structure. Let's go. Just plant.
okay, if it has no skeletal structure, then movement would be impossible. Like
All
Like-
muscle.
okay, compromise. What about segments of rigid material combined by some kind of semi-sinews?
That's fine with me.
Deal.
All right. With your hill, I can see where you're coming from.
It is definitely a way better hill than the Harpy one, you have to admit.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Like you can drag me like a little bit closer over to your hill if you want. Like, don't put me on the hill. Put me like right next to the hill for your screen.
Touching grass.
Not touching yet.
Okay, backing off.
I mean, I see where you're coming from. And while I'm over here, I'm just gonna give you the slap I promised earlier, and I'm walking back.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah, nah, I'm not getting on this hill.
I'll take it.
Okay, obviously we're not finding a compromise on this one. Cause I don't
Yeah,
think that'll work.
like you can definitely see where I'm coming from, and I
Mhm.
made some decent arguments, but I can definitely understand that you're like, nah, fam. Yeah, totally understandable.
Because I'm trying to also think like if we just like go back to like the first ever of their species, like when was this? It was like just started on accident kind of thing, or just
Evolution
upgrade.
works in mysterious ways, my friends.
We don't need evolution. We have magic.
Just for that, I kind of feel like we have to dropkick you.
Do you think magic would stop evolution in sort of ways?
I think it can halt it in certain species. However, I do think that because of how volatile the nature of magic tends to be, no matter the setting,
Yeah.
I do think things would adapt to it in unforeseen ways. So,
How would our plant folk have adapted to magic in that case?
they would definitely be able. And this is just me saying.
They created the body. That's how.
I was gonna say they would definitely be able to absorb it better throughout the earth and throughout ways that we as animals would not be able to.
Their earth spells are fucking killer.
You know what? If we're gonna give them magic,
Yeah.
the obvious one would be druids,
Of course.
but
Of course.
I actually have an additional one.
Sorcerer?
Cleric.
Yeah, I can see it.
For those who want to know my reasoning behind why, honestly, I think cleric more than druid even. Because,
Okay. Pushing it.
okay,
Pushing it.
fair, but hear me out.
Okay.
Plants are an organism that, unlike any others, are able to photosynthesize. Basically, they take a unseen force and turn it into energy. What's that if not fate magic? Am I wrong on this?
You no longer have to worry where your god is. Because he's right here.
And he's allowed mercy.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can put clerics higher up on the list for sure. But
Like-
definitely druids first, though.
I mean, there's also nature clerics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm fine with clerics being high on the list, but druid number 1, baby.
Okay, I can live with that, but cleric's number 2.
Yeah, probably like sorcerer would be underneath that. I can actually see as well.
Mm.
Innate natural magic.
You know what? Fair point.
How it comes to fruition, that's a totally different story. But just innate
Yeah.
natural magic.
Okay.
Like wizard would like be bottom of the list would be the thing. There it goes.
One second. Is there another?
If you want to do a martial class, I could probably see monk as well.
I was actually gonna suggest ranger.
Oh yeah, ranger too. Ranger for sure. Top 3 is that would probably be in the top 3. It'd probably be like druid, cleric, ranger.
Wait, isn't there a paladin oath of ancients, which is basically nature paladins?
I don't think that's it technically.
I vaguely remember something about that.
It's weird.
Okay, so while I was not able to win you over with this hill,
Yeah.
it was a good hill.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. It was a good hill.
And I didn't
Again?
die on it, so we had 2 draws today.
Yeah, 2 draws.
Okay, there is actually something I would like to address, or at least speak to you about.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about how they were with humans, but we have established that lamias and harpies don't get
Mhm.
along. So
Yeah.
where on the food chain and where in the social queue are we gonna put plant quote-unquote folk?
Okay. Let's see. Where in the food chain? Okay, I'm just trying to think. What would be some natural enemies of a plant folk? Anything with fire at this point.
Okay,
So, I'm not naming any species specific, but like fire in general is pretty high on their enemy list. I would say.
you know what? Okay, this is just because I've read
Mhm.
Shaman King, well, reread Shaman King lately.
Okay.
I'm
Good
gonna
series.
say elementals in general, because a lot of the elementals could just fuck up their habitat. Fire, the obvious one. Wind can honestly fucks up plants way more because of the wind
Yeah.
can just dry them out. Earth can
Yeah.
fuck up the soil. Water can flood the roots. I think
Yeah, there is overwatering. So elementals are higher, or just like would be a
yeah, they
decent
are
natural enemy.
they're antagonistic towards elementals, I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Well, anything in too much quantity is a problem. Being honest, and
That is
elementals are just a lot of things, and they are just a problem.
Yeah,
for
there's a
lot of
lot of it. The thing.
people. They are a problem for a lot of people.
That is true. That is true.
But I will say they're like, would they have a natural enemy that would oppose them as they would oppose? Like, what would
I-
hate a plant folk?
I actually had something.
Maybe like insectkin would be.
Honestly, no. Yeah, I think they would be actually good with certain insect kin, except caterpillars.
Yeah, I think there's like that's kind of a back and forth kind of thing
Like
within tribes of insects.
like
I'd say.
ants, definitely. Bees.
Fly-
Oh yeah. Ladybugs.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah. They eat their parasites.
Fly folk hate them. I don't know why. 'Cause I just think Venus flytrap with flies.
Okay, so considering
Uh-huh.
considering whatever plant girls are, they embody life. So I'm gonna say that they particularly dislike undead because that's just fertilizer walking around.
That's a waste of nutrients right there.
Yeah, like they would hate undead. Also, an extra point as to why I think
Mhm.
cleric is close to
Yeah.
being tied with druid.
Okay, I can get on that. Would the undead have any reason to hate them back? I would ask. They can't harvest anything from them. Maybe that might be why. They're
Yeah.
both looking at the other like, what a waste of food.
Yeah.
That's what I can just think now. They're both just looking at each other like, what a waste of food.
Exactly.
It's like if it's like a vampire undead, they have no blood to suck. Ugh, ugh.
I mean,
And
to be
then
fair,
zombies have no meat to eat on, or
Ooh.
any of the undead that eat like meats would
Okay,
not have anything to eat there.
look at.
Mhm.
Something I mentioned earlier is how some plants basically parasitize other plants, but don't really eat them.
Yeah.
And you know how female mosquitoes are the one who actually suck blood?
Yeah.
What if male vampires are just vegans?
Okay, that is a hill you're going to have to die on our vampire episode, but I am not going to come up fight you on that right now.
Oh,
That is
fair
for
enough.
another episode.
I'm just putting that out there, like male vampires being their main predator.
I mean, is sucking blood really being carnivorous?
I didn't say carnivorous. I just said main predator.
I know. I'm just asking in general. Is sucking blood considered being carnivorous,
Hmm.
or would it be like a weird name like herbivore?
It would be
Hemoglobin, but like herbivore.
it would be hemo for, by the way.
Yeah, whatever.
You were close, but
You know what I meant though. It has like a weird
yeah,
name.
that
to it.
is. Huh.
I think we'll come back to that on our vampire episode.
Yes, we will.
You know what? Why don't we make that our next topic? Vampires.
Ooh.
Since we're like getting to this, girls, we
Okay,
might
wait.
as well.
Vampires in specific, or just, or is it just gonna be an undead?
Corporal undead. Corporal undead.
Hell yeah!
That can be our next episode.
Why? Okay, it probably says something about me that I'm this excited to talk about dead people.
But yeah, so pretty much, but coming back to our food chain, they're pretty high on the ladder since they can eat pretty much all types of material and all that. Well, they can. If they do, that's totally different.
I don't think they would be actively hunting.
No. They are
They're scavengers.
scavengers. Yeah, they're scavengers. for
Yeah,
sure. Not-
Okay, I will put them up high because of survivability, but
they're in like mid range.
yeah, that's why I said
of our ladder.
earlier. I do think they would be mid to kind of low on the potential food chain.
I'll put them high up, like higher on that, like mid, higher mid.
Okay, but we can at least agree that they're kind of on the mid area.
Oh yeah, they're definitely around the middle of their
Yeah.
group. If we were going like extremes, like bottom is like a 1 and like top is like a 10, they would definitely be like a 5 or a 6. Is what I'm saying. Just for that example.
Yeah, let's just go 5.5 as a compromise.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like between 5 and 6, it'd be like 5.7, 5.4.
Yeah,
If we were doing,
I would
if we had an
lean,
actual food chain number, it would be around there.
yeah, I would lean them more like 4.8 till 5.2. So 5ish is a good way in the middle.
Yeah, again, we are generalizing since there are a bunch of species out there and
Yeah.
different dietary supplements and everything. So right in the middle sounds fine for me. For our
Okay.
group.
So there is actually something that I've been thinking about with all this talk about sub buddies, going back to it, all runes and such.
All right, I think we got time for one more topic.
Well, I mean, technically we still have a little bit, but
It's been about 2 hours, man.
that is true. But want to know one thing that I do think that would kind of what genre would kind of stick to plant folk.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm just gonna go down the list. For Lamias, it would definitely be just kind of asphyxiation.
Mm-hmm.
Centaurs, somehow we ended up in bondage because we did kind of come to like being decked out and such.
Sure.
Okay, bondage is not the correct term. More like master-servant relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
With harpies, what would you say that?
Um, I don't know yet if it has a name. Uh, no, but this is the sexualized one, right?
A little bit.
Genre. That's what I'm asking you. Or sexualized genre?
For example,
Just to clarify
Yeah.
what you're asking here.
like what genre do you think?
Uh, definitely petite, but anyway.
Yeah, okay,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure because again,
okay.
let's just move.
But for
What do you get? What do you get for dryads? What do you get? I don't know.
help me step down, I'm stuck.
You better explain yourself,
Okay, so
or else I'm gonna come over there and slap you again.
okay, 1 second. Okay, so to explain the why I think that plant folks and dryads would most likely fit into the genre of help me step down, I'm stuck. Every iteration I've seen of a dryad is of one just exiting the tree and then just going back, like actively going in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that with all that going in and out, it will happen. It will have happened more than once that the sub body has consumed too much nutrients and gained a little bit too much biomass and got stuck. Hell, some species can't even leave their host.
Okay. Okay. I get it now. I get it now.
You hate that you don't hate it?
Yeah, I hate that. I don't hate it. I agree with you, but F you.
Still want to slap me?
Yes, but for other reasons.
Are you gonna
Anyway.
slap me?
Do you want me to slap you?
I just want to know if I have to drag you over or not.
Nah, you're fine for now. But what would you classify harpies now that you brought it up?
I'm gonna say was gonna go with either group play.
Polygamy.
Yes.
There you go. There's your harpies. Anyway, I think that's all for today. Let's get our closing remarks and then call it, shall we?
Alrighty. Okay, Black Hat. General interest in plant folk, and where would you rate them as waifu?
General interest. I'm probably keeping them about a 6 since we are generalizing, and there's a bunch of plants out there. There's
Any
probably a few I might like.
any
because
specific ones that you like a little bit more? Oh wait, we're talking about general interest.
Well, yeah, the general interest. If I was going to be specific, I would definitely rank an Alurain more than a Dryad, just because I like them better.
Fair enough.
But generalized, good 6, keeping them there. For waifu, you know what? Again, generalizing, because since we made them pretty much self-sufficient and sort of, they hibernate and everything, they're pretty low maintenance if you really think about it, unless you're homegrowing. So homegrown, probably like a 3. Wild, I can keep that like a 7. Being honest.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? What you got?
Okay,
For scales.
for interest, general interest. I'm actually gonna go with a decent 8 because
Mhm.
I did study fauna a couple years back, so
You mean flora? Flora and fauna are 2 different things, right?
I know. But
Okay.
I mostly study fauna, so
Okay.
just
Yeah. Go ahead.
living creatures like this really interest me.
Mhm,
I do
mhm.
have a great interest in plants too, but not as much as
Yeah.
animals and such.
Yeah.
But as waifus, I did say a couple of reasons why I would say no to them, but
We've addressed those issues though.
a couple of them.
Okay, homegrown versus wild growth though. That's totally different.
Okay, so I do think that homegrown ones would be less likely to have the nasty predicaments that I mentioned before, like pollen, splinters, thorns.
I mean, that's just species specific, yeah.
I mean,
But
there's
they are high maintenance, though. That
yes,
would be the thing for homegrown.
which is also one of the things that I put as a negative.
Yeah.
So, with a couple things that did come to mind. Before I said a 4, but I'm gonna up that to a 5.
Nice.
Oh crap! I just
Five
realized.
for both. 5 for both, or for just one?
Okay.
Like homegrown versus wild. Which one?
Okay. Homegrown, I'm gonna go with a 6 because
Mhm.
at least if it's homegrown, then at least there's a little bit of pedigree, and then you can get a maintenance manual.
Sure.
But the wild ones, 5, because I'm not that good at reading people, so that's kind of why I'm keeping them on the low end.
Okay.
I also
Again,
realized something that there's something we actually have not discussed with Plant Girls.
And that is.
Mating rituals.
Oh God.
Yeah, I actually think we can summarize that very easy. Like, I do think that it's seasonal. I think another reason why they don't just spread their seeds far and wide like Zeus at a banquet is also because they are probably not that good at socializing. Like, they are social. Their success
again,
rate might just
we're-
not be too well.
Yeah, with their limited communication we gave them, it's just not a great success rate with other such and such species. But other than that, it's pretty normal routines around though.
Like, I think that they have less success than plants because plants have the best wingmans in all the pollinators around.
Wind.
Yeah, hell, even the wind is a pollinator for them.
Yeah.
With since plant, and I'm using air quotes here, plant girls are living beings. I think they would actually have to find a mate, which is a whole lot of trouble if you don't have the best social skills.
A compatible one too.
Yeah.
But I will say one thing about the mating ritual, especially the courtship part: do not give them flowers. This flower is prettier than you.
Yeah, like
That's one thing. Do not give them a flower.
give them like minerals, like
Give them a nice rock. They will like a nice rock.
yeah, give them a little bit of salt or something.
Yeah. Do not give them flowers. They will be upset if you give them a flower. It's pretty much saying this flower looks prettier than you.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's pretty normal courtship.
Yeah. Okay, I can agree with that. Oh, are there male plant girls?
No.
Just an all-female species or a hermaphrodite?
I think all female.
I'm gonna go hermaphrodite because at the beginning you did mention plants have both stamens and pollen.
Pistils.
Pistils.
Stamens.
Sorry, I forgot the English word for it. My bad.
They all have pollen too, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I can go with you. I wasn't too on the fence about that myself. So I'm fine with them having both genitalia if we really need them to.
Yeah. So I do think that this one's actually a little bit varied based on the species. So I'm gonna say
yes and no.
I'm gonna say 70% is hermaphrodite, 30% is bigendered.
Yeah. I don't think there is just any male species out there though, because what's the point of spreading your seed like that to like another species? It would have to be another plant species.
I mean, I have one example of an all-male species that is honestly still thriving.
Is it only one species?
Yes, only one species.
Then that's the exception. Exceptions are a special case.
I mean, want to know which species I'm thinking
Okay. Okay, there's one trap gender out there. Got it.
I mean, with mimicry.
Do you know the trap genre in Yu-Gi-Oh? That is pretty much what I'm thinking. They're all traps.
players.
Ah. By the way,
So-
want to know the all-male species I'm thinking of that is still thriving?
What?
Saiyans.
Saiyans?
Yes!
Well, they can just fucking crossbreed. That's another. That's on our alien episode.
Oh god, yeah, we can actually talk about Saiyans during Aliens.
Yeah, if we ever do an alien episode. But if we're going to have an all-male plant, quote-unquote girl, they're going to be traps. That's all I'm going to leave it at.
Alright. So, anything you want to talk about? Or anything you think we've forgotten?
No, I think we're good. It's since we had to like generalize a lot. I think that's we had to stick with that. Like, if we were being specified, we could get more, but nah, we're good for now.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's all for this week's episode. Make sure you guys turn in next week for our corporeal undead episode. We're going to talk about like zombies, vampires, ghouls, and whatnots. Anything over on your side?
It's gonna be a lively episode, and yes, I understand the irony of that.
All right, I'm coming over to slap you real quick. I'm just going to grab me a newspaper real quick. Just
Eh.
all right. Close us out, boy.
Alright. For everyone who's still in chat, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for popping by. Let's see who's actually online to raid.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go to someone who's just chatting or who's playing Final Fantasy 16?
No, it doesn't matter over here. Your stream, your pick.
Eeny, meeny, miny.
That one.
Yeah, you know what? I rated that dude actually, I rated that dude last time, so this time I'm gonna rate this guy. Let's rate X the Dark One, who's currently playing Final Fantasy 16. This was fun.
Oh yeah, it's always fun doing stuff. There's going to be a lot to talk about next week.